Hello everyone, good evening. How are you all? Okay, so let us start. Let me know if I'm properly audible to all of you and the video is visible, and then we will start the session. So just confirm me once if everything is working fine so that we can start. I'll wait for your confirmation and then we will continue with the class. Okay. Okay. So in the last session, we have discussed some very important questions from the Indian economy and Indian financial system, Module B. In this one, we are going to continue that journey and we are going to discuss some really important MCQs that are going to help you clear your concepts regarding this chapter, this module, and as well as prepare you better for the exam. Why is it different? Because clearing your concept is very important. Yes, we all know that. But uh, as important as clearing the concept is having that mindset of solving the MCQs. So that is why I am having the strategy to cover more and more questions so that you all become exam ready. So let us start and see what all questions do we have here. If you have any questions, if you have any doubts, queries, anything at all, you can write down in the comment section. Okay, all right. So are we good to go? All right. Okay, so let us start. Now, the question that I'm going to discuss first here, although I have already talked about this particular question in the last session, but for the sake of continuity, we are starting from that last question that we have discussed. So the question is about velocity of money. Question is, the concept of velocity of money refers to option A, the rate at which money is exchanged from one transaction to another. Option B, the pace at which the central bank prints money. Option C, the duration it takes for money to double its in value through interest. Or option D, the inflation rate impacting the real value of money. What is the right answer out of these? So quickly write down your answers in the comment section and then I'll tell you the right answer. Okay. See, the concept of velocity of money refers to the thing that is given in option number A. So, the rate at which the money is exchanged from one transaction to another. So, it measures how often a unit of currency is used to purchase domestically produced goods and services within a given time period. So, it is a key variable in determining how much economic activity can be supported by a given amount of money supply. I have so and so amount. So, how much economic activity can be supported by that amount of money supply? It's really crucial, as you can all understand, that while RBI decides the interest rates and all those things, so it needs to keep in mind that how much money supply is required for the sake of the I mean, how much economic activity can be supported by that given supply. So they want to keep everything in such a way that it does not disrupt the entire economy. So that's why it's a very important measure. Okay, so I'm sure that you all must be clear with the concept now. Let us move ahead and see what is the next question about. So so here the right answer was option number A. Okay, next one. The next question is about the elasticity of supply. The question is, if the price elasticity of supply for a commodity is calculated to be 3, what does it imply about the commodity's supply? Option A, supply is unit elastic. Option B, supply is perfectly inelastic. Option C, supply is elastic. Or option D, supply is inelastic. What should be the right answer here? So it is going to help us understand that what does this price elasticity mean. When we are talking about the price elasticity of supply, what are the implications of it? Okay, let's see. If the price elasticity of a supply for any commodity is calculated to be 3, this implies that the supply of the commodity is elastic. This means that for a given change in price, the quantity supplied changed by a proportionately larger amount. Therefore, the correct answer here is option number C. The supply is elastic. See, option A, if I talk about it, unit elastic, it is incorrect. Why? Because it implies elasticity of exactly 1. Okay, unit, we all know that. Option B, why is it incorrect? Why is it not perfectly inelastic? Because see, it implies that the elasticity is of 0. If I'm saying something is inelastic, so that means the elasticity is 0. That is also not true, as in the question it is given that elasticity is 3. Option D, why is it incorrect? Because inelastic would be incorrect because it implies the elasticity less than 1. Okay, so less than 1 is inelastic, perfectly inelastic is 0, and unit elastic is 1, and anything above that is what? It is elastic. So option number C is the right answer here. I hope it is clear to everyone. Let me see if you have any queries till now. Okay, you can write down in the chat box, or you can also, if you're watching it as a recorded session, you can comment in the comment section below. Okay, whatever doubts or queries you might be having. All right, now the next one. This question is about the Keynes versus classic economics theory. So the question is, which statement is true according to Keynesian economics as opposed to classical theory of this economics? Option A, the economy naturally seeks full employment. Option B, saving always equals investment. Option C, aggregate demand can influence the level of output and employment. And option D, interest rate adjusts to equate the demand of and the supply of money. Okay, which out of these is right? Write down your answers, then we'll discuss the right answer. See, when we are talking about Keynesian theory, so according to it, and that is in contrast with the classical economic theory, the right option is option number C. The aggregate demand can influence the level of output and employment. See, the Keynesian economics emphasizes that the change in aggregate demand, whether anticipated or unanticipated, have their most immediate and direct effect on the production and the employment. So, Keynes argued that the inadequate aggregate demand can lead to prolonged period of high unemployment. So, and let us understand why other options are not right. Like option A, so the economy naturally seeks full employment is classical theory perspective. It is not the Keynesian theory, it is the classical theory perspective, suggesting that the market naturally adjusts to deliver full employment without the need for government interventions. Then option B, saving always equals investment, is also a classical perspective. So Keynesian, however, if we talk about that, believe that the saving and investment decisions are not always coordinated, leading to the economic fluctuations that we all see in the present times. Okay, then option D, why is it incorrect? See, interest rate adjusts to the to equate the demand and supply of money is also more aligned with the classical thought, which focuses on the role of interest rate in balancing the money supply and the demand automatically. Okay, thus the option C is the statement that is true according to the Keynesian economics. So that is the right answer here. Next question. the natural rate of unemployment include? Option A, only cyclic unemployment. Option B, frictional and structural unemployment. Option C, only frictional unemployment. Or option D, both classical and frictional unemployment. What is the right answer out of these on the measurement of unemployment? So quickly write down your answers, then we'll discuss the right answer to this question. See, the natural rate of unemployment, when we talk about it, it includes option B, that means frictional and structural unemployment. So this concept refers to the level of unemployment that is expected in an economic or you can say this this basically refers to the level of unemployment that is expected in an economy absent cyclical fluctuations. So typically due to the factors inherent in the labor market, including the time it takes for people to find new jobs, that is the frictional unemployment, and the mismatch between the skilled workers and the skills workers are having and the skills needed for the available job, that we call as the structural unemployment. Now talking about all other options, so option A, only cyclic unemployment, is incorrect, because cyclical unemployment is related to the ups and downs of the economy and is not included in the natural rate of unemployment. Option C, only frictional unemployment, is also incorrect because it omits the structural unemployment, which is a key component along with the frictional unemployment. Option D, both classical and frictional unemployment. It is also incorrect because classical unemployment typically refers to the unemployment resulting from the wages being above the market clearing level, which is not considered in calculating the natural rate. Therefore, the option B correctly includes both frictional and structural types, which are inherent to the labor market and persist even in a healthy economy. Okay, so that is option number B. Moving on, next question. Please pay attention to this one. This question is about the price elasticity of demand. So, if a 10% increase in price of a product leads to a 15% decrease in the quantity demanded, the price elasticity of demand for this product is option A, minus 1.5, that means elastic. Option B, 0.67 inelastic. Option C, minus 0.67 inelastic. Or option D, 1.5 elastic. What is the right answer out of these? And this is an important question, really very important question. If you need to answer the questions related to this topic, you definitely need to answer or learn this concept, because it is extremely important. So how do we calculate the elasticity? Let us first understand that in order to answer this question. See, to find the price elasticity of demand, you calculate the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. Here, in this question, a 10% increase in price leads to 15% decrease in quantity demanded. So, what is the formula for elasticity? That is the percentage change in quantity demanded divided by the percentage change in price. In this question, we are given the percentage change in quantity demanded is minus 15%. That means a decrease is negative. Okay, then that is why we are using the minus sign. Then percentage change in price is positive 10%. It has increased, so that's why positive. So when we calculate the elasticity, we would do minus 15. Sorry, I'm not having the pen tab here. Divided by plus 10. So that would be how much? Minus 0.5. Oh, sorry, minus 1.5. Minus 0.5, right? So this indicates that the demand is elastic because the magnitude of elasticity is greater than 1. So demand is elastic. And the negative sign indicates that the relationship between the price and demand is inverse, as we all know. As the price increases, the quantity demanded decreases. Okay, thus the correct answer is option number A, that is minus 1.5, and elastic because it is greater than 1 na. So don't get confused. Magnitude and the that sign you keep separately. Okay, everyone clear till this point? Any doubts? Okay, so that's really important one. Please do pay attention. I think the video is freezing, so I'll just switch it off so that you are not distracted by the freezing of video. Okay, here the next question is based on the factors influencing the demand. The question is, which of the following factors would typically cause a shift in demand curve for a normal good? Option A, a change in the price of good. Option B, a change in income level. Option C, a change in price of substitute. Or option D, both B and C. What is the right answer and why is it the right answer? Tell me in the comment section. I'll give you 1 minute to solve this one. Done, everyone? Shall we proceed with the answer? Okay, let us continue. Okay, so the answer to this question is, see, for normal goods, as this question is about that, so for normal goods, several factors can cause a shift in the demand curve. What are these? So income levels, then you have price of related goods like the substitute or a complement, consumer preference, expectations, population demographics. Okay, these are certain important ones. So let's see what options are there and we'll eliminate. Option A says a change in price of the good affects the quantity demanded but does not shift the demand curve. So it moves along the curve. So option A is not the one. Then option B, a change in income levels will shift the demand curve. For normal goods, an increase in income typically leads to increase in demand, shifting the demand curve to the right. Okay, option C, a change in price of substitute will also shift the demand curve. If the price of a substitute increases, the demand for normal good increases as the consumer switch to it, shifting its demand curve to the right. So, given this, option D, both B and C is the correct answer because both the changes in income levels and changes in the price of substitute can shift the demand curve for normal goods. Okay, so that is the right answer. I hope everyone is clear. Next question. In a command economy, how are prices of goods and services primarily determined? Option A, through consumer choices. Option B, by market competition. Option C, by government directives. Or option D, through foreign market influence. What is the right answer and why is it the right answer? See, this is a very simple question, and if you have read about command economy even once ever, you would be able to answer this question correctly. So, in a command economy, what happens? The prices of goods and services are primarily determined by the government directives. So that means option number C. So in such economies, the government has significant control over the economic activity, including the production, consumption, pricing, all these things. So decision about what goods are produced, how much is produced, and at what price items are sold, these are typically made by the government planners rather than the um, and rather than the dynamics of the supply and the demand. It's not left to that. So why the other options are not correct? See, option A, through the consumer choice, and option B, by market competition. These are characteristics of a market economy, where the prices are determined by the supply and demand interaction in the market, influenced by consumer preference and competition among the businesses. Option D, through foreign market influence, while potentially it is a factor, but it is not the primary method for determining the prices in the command economy. So, the central control characteristic of command economy limits the direct influence of foreign market on the pricing. Therefore, option C is the right answer because it directly describes how a command economy functions in terms of the price setting. Everyone clear till now? Any doubts, any queries, any confusions? I'll give you 2 minutes to write down your queries and everything. Okay, so we are clear till now, right? All right, let us move ahead. Option number C. Okay, next question. It is about business cycles. So the question is, which phase of business cycle is characterized by increasing employment and economic growth and upward pressure on prices? Now before this, let us understand what is business cycle, what are the phases of business cycle. After that we can move on to this question. Okay, so let us start with that because it's an extremely important concept. It is really asked every time and it is one of the simplest thing that you can come across in this subject. See, and you relate it with certain examples because that is going to help you um, remember it and help you have a picture of it in your mind, and you can solve any question if you have an example in your mind for this. So let us understand with a real life example of all these. Okay, let's see. First I'll explain you the basics, then we'll talk about this the real life examples. See, the business cycle refers to the fluctuations in the economic activity that an economy experiences over a period of time. So these cycles are generally characterized by the phases of expansion and contraction in the economy. What are the phases? So first of all, we have expansion. So this phase is marked by an increase in various economic activities like employment, consumer spending, industrial production. So this period is also characterized by rising GDP and typically leads to upward pressure on the prices due to increased demand. Okay, then there is peak. So peak is the highest point of the economic cycle where growth reaches its maximum output. So the economic indicators stop rising and reach their highest value, as the name suggests, peak. The peak phase often leads into a contraction phase as the economic activities begin to decline. Then contraction is there. So what happens in that phase? So just it's like climbing the hill, then at the peak, then again contracting, and then drop. Okay, so contraction, if I talk about it, we also call it recession phase. So during recession, what happens? During recession, during this phase, the economic indicators decline from their peak, leading to decrease in GDP, then employment, consumer spending. So this period is marked by a general slowdown in the economic activity. Then the next phase is trough. So TROUGH. So this phase marks the lowest point of the economic cycle. Like the peak was the highest, trough is the lowest. where the economy hits its lowest levels of GDP, employment, production. Okay, so after the thaw, the economy generally moves into the expansion phase again starts climbing the hill. Okay, as the economic activity begins to recover. Now, for this particular question, I'll tell you the answer, but before that, let us understand using some examples. See, you all know about um, the economic challenges of US economies. Certain examples are there. um, we shall take example of India. Okay, otherwise I have example of US as well, but that won't be that relatable for us, so that is why I think that we can take example of India. See, let's take example of India over the last few decades. So example, you can start from 2003 to 7. India experienced significant expansion phase. The country's GDP grew at an impressive rate, averaging over 8% per year. So this period was characterized by substantial increase in the consumer demand, then industrial production and the investment, largely driven by economic reforms and opening up of the global markets, as we all know, LPG reforms. Then peak. So in the economy, Indian economy reached its peak around 2007 to 8, just before the global financial crisis. So the economic indicators like the GDP growth rates, then you have employment rates, stock market indices were at their highest. Investment were booming, and the real estate market was particularly strong. Then there was a recession. So, following that global crisis, for which a lot of countries suffered, in 2008, India, like many other countries, experienced an economic slowdown. So, the GDP growth rate declined, and the pace of economic investment, or you can say, pace of the investment, also reduced. So this impact wasn't as severe in some as in the western countries. We say now we have managed it pretty well as compared to the other economies. We did really well in this crisis. So we have not suffered as bad as some other western countries, but the growth rate did drop to around 6.7 in 2008 to 9 from the earlier highs, which I've told you, more than 8%. So there was a contraction. Then there was a draw phase. So by 2012-13, Indian economy experienced what might be considered as a draw. So the economic growth slumped to below 5%, considered low compared to the country's previous high growth standards. High inflation was there, policy paralysis, and a lack of investment contribution. Lack of investment also contributed to this slowdown. Then recovery phase. So from 2014 onwards, the economy showed a sign of recovery. Some recovery initiatives were there, like Make in India and other reforms that were aimed to improve the business environment. So these were introduced. By 2016-17, GDP growth rates were back up to 7%, showing a substantial recovery from the earlier slump. So this cycle of expansion, peak, contraction, and trough, followed by the recovery, provides a clear understanding of how dynamic economic activities can be in response to both domestic policies and the global economic conditions. Okay. All right. So I hope we are clear till this point. So the question that we were discussing, the right answer. So the description of the phases that is given: the phase of the business cycle characterized by increasing employment and economic growth and upward pressure on price is the expansion phase. Okay. So during expansion, the economy grows, more jobs are created, and consumer spending increases, and the increased demand typically pushes the prices higher. So this is the phase before reaching the peak. where the economic activities are on rise. Okay, so we are still on rise, we are not at the top point, we are still rising. So that means we are in the expansion phase in this question. Okay, all right, so the right answer here is option number B. Okay, I hope it is clear. Next one. Next question is about the public goods. So, what characteristics defines a public good? Option A, excludability. Option B, rivalrous consumption. Option C, non-excludability. And option D, decreasing returns to scale. What is the right answer? Everyone, even if you're not sure of the answer, please do write in the comment section whatever you think is the right answer. See, it is the non-excludability. Why? See, it means that it is difficult or impossible to exclude individuals from using the goods, allowing for its consumption without directly paying for it. So, the public goods are also typically characterized by non-rivalry, meaning that one person's use of goods does not diminish another's ability to use it. That means, if let's say I'm using a particular resource, that does not mean that someone else cannot use it. Okay, so that is something, that is the reason why option number C is right. And also we can say that option B, see, I'll tell you about it why other options are incorrect. Like option A, the excludability is opposite to what defines a public good. Excludability means that you can prevent people from using a good if they do not pay for it, so which does not apply to the public good. And let us understand what is public good, what exactly is public good, what are the examples of it, then you will get better idea of this question. So public good is the type of good that is characterized by two key features: non-excludability and non-rivalry. So, the non-excludability means that you cannot deny someone of it, or let me just give you the example like national defense. So, it is an excellent example of public good. Once a country is protected, it is not feasible to exclude any resident from this protection, and one person who is benefiting from national defense does not reduce the benefit to others. So if I'm saying that the army, navy and air force, they all are working so hard to keep my country secure, so it is not so that if you are taking that protection, I might not be able to get that protection. No, because me using it does not exclude you from using it. Okay, then street lighting, so it provides illumination for all, whether those are from any area, any street. So it is impossible to restrict only those who pay for it, and one person's use of the light does not prevent others from using that. So that is why. Then public parks are there, clean air and public radio broadcast is there. So these are some of the examples. I hope that it is clear to all of you that what does this mean. Okay, clear everyone? All right, so option A, excludability, we have understood that that is the opposite of what defines a public good. So you cannot prevent anyone from using that public good. Okay, so option A is incorrect. Option B, driverless consumption does not make sense. Sorry, this driverless consumption is not suitable, although like not the accurate one. If I would have said that if the term that was used here in this particular question was this one that I have explained you, non rivalry, so that would have been correct. But here, rivalrous consumption, that means if I am using it you cannot use it, that type of thing, so that does not apply here. Option C is right. And option D, if we talk about it, so Decreasing returns to scale refers to the situation where the increasing the input into production result in less proportionate output. So this characteristic is not related to the definition of public goods, and that is why it is not the right answer. Okay, clear everyone? Let us move ahead. Next question is about the supply curve. What does a leftward shift of supply curve indicates? So, is it increase in production cost? Is it a technological improvement, an increase in producer surplus, or a decrease in the price of raw material? Let us see what should be the right answer. But before that, I would like to tell you that this we have already covered. The concept we have already covered in the previous sessions. So I'm hoping that you all are aware of it. See, leftward shift in the supply curve indicates a decrease in the supply of a good. So, decrease in the supply of good. So this shift means that at each price point, less quantity of goods is available than before. So this decrease can be caused by several factors like the increased production cost. Then so okay, option A that is there, huh? So like the material, labor, or energy increases. So the producer may reduce the quantity they are willing to supply at the given price. Then regulatory changes could be there. So new regulations or taxes that increase the cost of production can lead to reduction in the supply. Then this natural disaster can do this. So like events like flood or earthquake or drought can damage production facilities, or it can disrupt the supply chains, reducing the overall supply of goods. Then you have the technological problems like issues with the technology or decline in the technological efficiency. It also can decrease the production capacity. Then the supplier expectations. So if the supplier expect future prices to be higher, they may reduce the current supply to sell more in the future at higher prices. So these are the broad reasons why this happens. Now, what does this leftward shift to supply curve indicates? Increase in production cost. Is it right? I have explained you. Increased production cost. Yes, it is right. Okay. Technical improvement is not right. If the technology has improved, they would have supplied more. So this is not right. Increase in producer surplus. So increase in producer surplus is also not the right answer. Decrease in the price of raw material, if so, then they would have produced more and supplied more. So there should be rightward shift, but it is the leftward shift, so this is also not right. So it should be increase in the price of raw material. Okay, so here increase in production cost is the right answer. Okay. Next question is about the market equilibrium. So market equilibrium is achieved at the point where option A, quantity demanded exceeds the quantity supplied. Option B, quantity supplied exceeds the quantity demanded. Option C, quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. Option D, there is government intervention in pricing. What is the right answer? We have talked about it, and it is an extremely important concept, and I cannot emphasize enough on this. So the market equilibrium is achieved at the point where the quantity demanded is equal to the quantity supplied. That is option number C. As the name suggests, from equilibrium we can understand this. So this is the point at which the supply curve and the demand curve intersect, indicating that the amount of the goods that the consumer want to buy, that means the quantity demanded at a certain price, is exactly equal to the amount that the producers are willing to sell, that means the quantity is supplied at that price. So when this balance is achieved, the market is said to be in equilibrium with no inherent tendency for the price to change unless there is a shift in the demand or the supply. So other options are incorrect, because option A, if we can look at it, quantity demanded exceeds the quantity supplied describes a shortage. मतलब ज़्यादा डिमांड है, सप्लाई कम हो रही है, there is more demand and lesser supply, that means there is a shortage of something. So it prompts the upward pressure on the prices. Option B, if you look at it, quantity supplied exceeds the quantity demanded. It is a surplus where there is more supply than there is demand. So it leads to downward pressure on the prices. Then we have option D, that there is government intervention in pricing. So it does not inherently indicate market equilibrium, as the government interventions, if we talk about it, they can distort the natural market forces that would typically establish equilibrium prices and quantities. Thus, the right answer here is option number C. I hope everyone is clear. The next question is about the income elasticity. So, if a good has a positive income elasticity of demand, it implies that the good is option A, a necessity, option B, an inferior good, option C, a normal good, or option D, a luxury good. What is the right answer? So, such questions are extremely important because they tell us that what is expected from us if we are studying a particular topic, and if we are not able to understand the practical implications of that. I know what is elasticity, I know this the definition, but if I'm not able to apply it, there is no use to that. So that's why. So if a good has a positive income elasticity of demand, it implies that the quantity demanded of a good increases as the income increases. So this is characterized by option C, that means a normal good. Normal goods are those for which the demand rises as the consumer income increases. Why other options are incorrect? Option A, a necessity. See, um, a necessity generally has a positive but a lower income elasticity, because while demand increases with income, the rate of increase is not as high as it might be for the luxury goods. See, necessities are required. I need dal, I need chawal, I need rice, pulses, all those things, regardless of my income level. And the consumption increase might be less pronounced. If I am earning 50,000 today, and if I start earning 1 lakh, does not mean I am going to eat 4 chapatis instead of 2 because I am earning more. So that's why the value is not that high in this case. Okay. Option B, an inferior good, has a negative income elasticity of demand, meaning that as income increases, demand for the good decreases. That is the inferior good. Okay. Some cheap things, something, if my income has increased, I'll prefer to buy lesser of those. Okay. Then option D, a luxury good. So while also typically having a positive income elasticity, usually has a higher elasticity than the normal good. So luxury goods have an elasticity of greater than 1, indicating that the demand increases more than proportionally with the increase in income. If I start earning 1 lakh instead of 50,000, I'll be going for the luxury goods. I'll be choosing some luxury items for my home and everything. So that in that case, it has to be really high. So therefore option C, a normal good, is the correct answer, as it accurately reflects the goods for which the demand increases as the income rise, but not necessarily at a higher rate than the income increase itself, which would indicate luxury goods. Okay, so that is the right answer. So now this is the next question about the monetary policy. So what is the primary goal of monetary policy? Option A, to regulate the stock market. Option B, to ensure stable employment and control inflation. Option C, to manage government revenues. And option D, to control the export and import balance. See, this is about the monetary policy, which is again a very important aspect of your syllabus. Now, The primary goal, if I talk about, there can be other goals, but the primary one is to ensure the stable employment and control inflation. These are the major metrics that are there. So the primary goal of this monetary policy is to ensure the stable employment and control inflation. So the Reserve Bank of India use monetary policy tools to influence the economy by managing the interest rates and controlling the money supply. So the dual objectives are to achieve maximum employment, that means the stable employment, and stabilize the price, that means control inflation, which helps to maintain a healthy economic environment. Now, why are the options correct? Option A, to regulate the stock market. That is not the primary goal of monetary policy. So monetary policy can influence the stock market conditions indirectly through the conditions like interest rate change, liquidity adjustment. It does not directly regulate the stock market activities. Okay. Then option C, to manage the government revenues. So the primary role of the fiscal policy is to manage the government revenues, not the monetary policy. Fiscal policy involves the government spending and the taxation decisions. Then option D, to control the export and import balance, is more closely related to the trade policy and the currency exchange rate policy. Although monetary policy can influence these indirectly through its impact on the overall economy and the current values, but not directly. Therefore, option B is the correct answer, as it directly addresses the central objective of the monetary policy aimed at stabilizing the economic environment. I hope everyone is clear till this moment. Any doubts, anything? Anyone? Any doubts? Okay. So I hope everything is good. Alright. I think the video is freezing. I'll switch it off. Okay. Next question is regarding the tools of monetary policy. So which tool of monetary policy is used by the Reserve Bank of India to control the money supply by altering the rate at which the banks borrow money overnight? Is it the CRR? Is it repo rate? Is it SLR? Or is it MSS? See, focus on the term given overnight. What is the time? What is the duration of that lending or borrowing? So, the tool of monetary policy used by Reserve Bank of India to control the money supply by altering the rate at which the banks borrow money overnight is known as the repo rate. That is the repurchase rate. So, repo rate is the rate at which the central bank, like RBI in our case, um, uh, lends money to the commercial banks in the event of any shortfall of funds. So it is used by monetary authorities to control the inflation. Now, in the other options like CRR, so cash reserve ratio involves the percentage of bank's total deposit that must be kept in reserve in the form of cash. कितना पैसा बैंक को अपने पास अलग रखना है in the form of liquid asset like cash. So it's a tool used to control the amount of money banks can lend. अब अगर बैंक के पास 100 रुपये हैं और उसमें से अगर मैंने बोल दिया कि आपको 20 रुपये सेफ रखने हैं, तो बैंक 80 रुपये पे ही लोन दे पाएगा. वहीं अगर मैं इसको बढ़ा दूं कि आपको 40 रुपये अपने पास कैश रिजर्व में रखने हैं, तो बैंक फिर 60 रुपये ही लोन दे पाएगा. अब जब लोन देने के लिए कम पैसा है, तो फिर बैंक को भी अपने प्रॉफिट मार्जिन से सब मेंटेन करने के लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा? बैंक को रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट बढ़ाना पड़ेगा. तो लोन्स महंगे हो जाएंगे, तो लोग डिस्करेज होंगे लोन लेने से, तो मनी सप्लाई कम हो जाएगी, तो इन्फ्लेशन कंट्रोल हो पाएगा. लोगों के पास कम पैसा होगा खर्च करने के लिए, तो उतनी ज़्यादा डिमांड नहीं रहेगी तो इन्फ्लेशन थोड़ा कंट्रोल होगा. ठीक है. देन वी हैव द स्टैट्यूटरी लिक्विडिटी रेशियो. So that is the minimum percentage of deposit that a bank has to maintain in form of gold, cash, or any other approved securities. MFS, sorry, this MSS, what is the market stabilization scheme? Let's understand that. The market stabilization scheme is a monetary policy tool that is used by Reserve Bank of India to withdraw the excess liquidity, that means money supply from the economy. So it involves the issuing of treasury bills or dated securities by the government on behalf of the Reserve Bank of India. Now these instruments are used specifically to mop up the excess liquidity in the system, helping to manage the inflation and stabilizing the currency. Okay. All right. So I hope that you are clear. For the particular question, the right answer is repo rate. Next question, expansionary versus contractionary policy. So the question is, an expansionary monetary policy is most likely to